Welcome to another installment of 5-Minute Licks. I'm bringing this series back for 2025 because I specifically want to address a whole bunch of questions that I get all the time when I'm teaching guitar privately or when I'm demoing gear on the channel. A lot of these are going to relate not to specific licks or lines that I want you to copy, but more about the way I approach both the technical and the harmonic elements of guitar and music. On today, I want to talk about my right hand picking technique and 2 physical cues that I practice in order to not only play a little bit faster and a little bit cleaner, but generally to just be more consistent and more relaxed when I'm playing the guitar. Let's go. To get started, I'll play you a very common descending alternate picking sequence across all 6 strings. You've probably seen this one called the split sixes sequence. I'm playing in the key of A minor, this kind of thing. Now, I first came across this sort of idea when I watched Paul Gilbert's Intense Rock VHS, the Bible of shred, as I like to call it. It's probably about 15 years old, so I've been practicing this stuff for over 20 years now. However, what I've found is that maybe 3-4 years ago, I could do this, I could do it at speed, but I wasn't doing it consistently. And I was also feeling quite a bit of tension in my right arm. So the first step I took was I filmed myself playing it and I looked out for any inconsistencies in my playing. And I noticed 2 things in there, and I'll show you how I work around them when I'm practicing and why they've been able to provide a lot more consistency as well as a little bit of extra speed and accuracy while I'm playing. The first one comes from anchoring with my wrist. And this is a very common technique that you will see, that kind of bony part of your wrist. You stick it somewhere on the bridge of your guitar and you anchor your hand there and you don't move it. Now, what this was giving me was a really nice downward pick slant on the low strings, but the problem was I wasn't moving this so that I had the same pick slant across all the strings when I'm playing them. I was planting it here and then I was reaching out. So while my pick slant here felt really good, as I moved it down here, the slant and the angle, and actually my thumb was sort of reaching to get down to the first string. In order to practice this, what I would do is take a single note on each string, alternate pick it, and then when I move to the next string, really make a conscious decision to drag my entire wrist across the bridge on there so that I really felt that movement. I mean, that sounds like garbage musically, but it is reinforcing that mechanical element of what I wanted to do. Then I would go back and start playing the line slowly with a discrete shift in my right hand each time, the goal being to maintain that constant pick slant on there. Moving my right hand along the bridge like that is such a straightforward and subtle way to improve the consistency of my picking, but the flow-on effect is that I feel like I'm a lot more accurate, I can play it a little bit faster, and I'm also way more confident when I go to execute a line like that. And it's a very straightforward fix with a simple drill. The next thing that I wanted to work on was, you could see when I was anchoring here and kind of changing that angle of my wrist, I wanted to practice something that would allow me to really maintain a consistent angle in my wrist here, but also keep my forearm relaxed on there. So the solution that I found was actually taking that to the extreme. And think of watching Marty Friedman play guitar where his hand almost looks like a flipper. So you put this extreme angle in your wrist, you try to stay really relaxed so you're barely holding on to the pick, and then you play the line with a floating wrist, and you don't care about how sloppy it is. It's going to be even more sloppy than usual for me, but you just try to execute the line with this extreme kind of flipper position on your wrists. So what this is giving you is an extreme downward pick slant, and then you're also moving along. So you're kind of practicing that cue of moving your wrist along the bridge as you change strings, but you're also teaching your body what it feels like to have a super relaxed picking hand, this kind of thing. That's kind of what shredding sounds like to people who don't play guitar anyway, so maybe it doesn't matter. Super sloppy on there, but my wrist is super relaxed. And what I've found is if I do that a few times as a little drill, and then I go back and try to play the line again, I'm just a little bit faster, a little more accurate. And those cues of having some space between this fleshy part of my wrist and the string and having the anchor point that moves along, they just work and they're reinforced. So I'll give you an idea of that. I'll try to play the line and then I'll do the flipper technique. Now, the thing that I really enjoy about this is that I actually don't have to practice it that much to feel the benefits. If I do a few minutes of this every practice session, essentially what I'm doing is I'm setting up my trigger movements for this particular type of line. And I find it very beneficial when I'm playing live. If I feel like I'm getting a little bit tense while I'm playing, if I have a little voice in my head which is saying, hey, you've got that fast lick coming up, it's going to be difficult, you might make a mistake, I can boil it all down into just that simple little motion of moving my wrist a little bit, getting some air between this part of my wrist and the string, and then just telling myself to just relax and move my hand up and down the bridge to feel that contact. What that does for me mostly is psychological. It gets me out of my own head, it gets me into the moment, and it just reminds me that it's all about following the process and not being super results driven there. You know, if I make a mistake, whatever, I've got a whole bunch of other notes coming up straight after that. If I'm in the moment and I'm enjoying myself and I'm feeling relaxed, that gives me the best chance to execute that particular line successfully. And to just give you a quick example of this, I'll play you the guitar solo from the Ragdoll song Love on the Run. Let me know any questions in the comment section below. And if you like this kind of thing, you can check out some of the music that I make with Ragdoll, or you can sign up to my Patreon. They are linked in the video description. Go and make some loud guitar noises of your own, and I'll see you next time.